Well, today is going to be a sort of strange day. I'm in the process of writing a feature article for the newspaper, which I do from time to time. You know, I'm a theater critic. And the piece that I'm going to write about today, this is not a review, this is a feature article because the show is coming up. It's a dance show. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. And it's based on this book. It's called The Fears of Your Life. And the book is written by a guy named Michael Bernard Loggins, who is a developmentally disabled man who lives in San Francisco. And what he did was he apparently is very good at writing lists. So he decided to list all the things that he's afraid of. And just picking a page at random. Fear of television when you're afraid that it might blow out all the lights in the house. Fear of getting hit over the head when you carry lots of dough with you or bucks. Fear of getting in trouble by the law when you aren't going by the rules. Fear of death. Fear of cemetery as you drive by there at night. Fear of tall giraffe. Fear of some birds. Fear of bears. Fear that the television will explode if you turn it on. Fear of earthquakes and volcanoes. Fear of blasted music on the radio when you're not aware that the volume is turned up. Fear of being spanked. Fear of being spanked in by a principal when a parent give a permission. It goes on. It's I think his original list was 135 fears, and then he added some to it, so it's something like 185 fears now. And it's just a delightful little book. And he has he also is an artist, and he's illustrated. This is the inside cover, but he's illustrated some of these fears. And when they printed the book, they printed it using his actual writing. They didn't typeset it. They used his writing. And in some places there are mistakes that he's made and stuff like that. I interviewed the woman who is the choreographer for this piece, and it's an interesting kind of a thing because not only is it written by a developmentally disabled gentleman, but the dancers are both physically abled and physically disabled. It's from a dance company called Access Dance Company in San Francisco. And the work is going to, there's a gentleman who used to perform with the Mime Troupe who's going to be reading Michael's work. They're their dancers. It's also kind of an art exhibit because a lot of cartoon characters will be available for audience members who are coming to put them on the walls, and it becomes then part of the dance piece. I'm not really quite sure how that's going to work, but it sounds like it's really interesting. So today I'm writing an article about it, and I've interviewed the choreographer. I've interviewed the teacher at the Art Center who works with Michael. I've interviewed the woman who is the head of the dance company that's going to be performing. She's a very interesting woman. She was a championship equestrian until she was in an automobile accident. And then she's in a wheelchair since then. And she actually, excuse me, she actually got the idea of doing dance. She'd never danced before, but she got the idea of doing dance when she was in her wheelchair at a martial arts class and ran into somebody who was starting a dance company. And so she's gotten involved in this dancing for able and physically disabled people. So I've interviewed her. I've interviewed the woman who's the head of the art studio where the developmentally disabled people create their art and sell it. And I've got to kind of tie all this together. And I have a real strange process when I write things. It's when I sit down to write, that's when I get the dishes done, I get my laundry folded, I eat much more than I would normally. I eat a lot anyway, but I eat much more than I would normally. I clean up my desk, I check email, I send email. It's just, I can't, you know, I'll sit there and I'll write a line or two or a paragraph or two, and then I'll think of 65 different things that have to be done at that moment. So I'll get up and I'll do them. And I guess I've heard from other writers in the last few years that their process of writing is very similar, at least some of them. And I guess what happens is all this stuff that I have, all these ideas that I have percolating, just kind of roll around in my head while I'm doing all this mindless other stuff. And somehow I'm always able to meet the deadline, and I always think that what I've written is really crap. And then I read it when it gets published, and I think, gee, that's not as bad as I thought it was. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm spending the day with Michael Bernard Loggins with the upcoming dance production of Fears of Your Life. I have to get it finished by, at the very least, 7 o'clock tonight, because I'm going to the theater to review Death and the Plowman, which was written in the 1400s. It should be, it's going to be an interesting experience because it asks the question, why do people die too young? And since I've lost 2 children too young, I don't know how that's going to hit me, but we'll find out. So anyway, I just thought I would make a brief video about explaining how it is that I work when I work. And today I'm working. And obviously, instead of writing, what I'm doing is making a video. So I have just proven my point.